Revived and renewed by DKI Apex Restoration. This is Gold Ball Sports, Episode 5. Along with Dave Myers and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shastine. We appreciate you tuning in. We got a big show tonight, so we got 60 minutes. We invite you to stick around for the full 60 minutes. Some things we're going to talk about. The state of Mississippi did not have a very good college football weekend. World Series teams are set. It's time to rank the SEC teams and talk college football playoffs. But first, we still got a little unfinished business from last week. Tennessee, Alabama game. Mr. Keller, how are you?
I'm just glad to be in studio with Shaz Nasty.
Shaz Nasty.
Yeah, we had a lot of viewers, hundreds, see your rap video last week or 2 weeks ago of Tennessee's big win. And there's some nicknames. I'd like for people to engage us on Facebook and say, what should be your new rap nickname? You know, I'm hearing all kinds of them.
That's dangerous. Thankfully, I haven't heard any of them. I have a challenge for you tonight. I want to begin the show with our debate. And first, I want you to agree to debate me on this, because in a proper debate, each side needs to have a side, right?
Correct.
So I submit that Alabama's Jermaine Burton should not have played against Mississippi State Saturday, that he should have been suspended for his actions that took place on the field following the Tennessee-Alabama game. And I think we've got a shot of Mr. Burton's action. Now, you know what I'm talking about. Are you up for that debate?
I'll accept the challenge.
Ooh, all right. The debate is on.
Down and dirty.
All right, Mr. Keller. What our viewers are seeing on the screen is a shot of Jermaine Burton on the Neyland Stadium Shields-Watkins Field following Tennessee's win over Alabama. It's madness. A female student walks by Jermaine Burton, and he doesn't punch her, doesn't seem to double up his fist, but took his hand and popped her in the face. Okay, and that got caught on video. And as you know, that has been, I knew there would be a lingering story from this game, right? There had to be one of some sort of angle, and it would likely come from Tennessee fans. And it did. And it's this Jermaine Burton incident. Now, Coach Saban has made excuses for his players' action. But before we hear what he had to say, I'd like to hear you defend Coach Saban's willingness to play Jermaine Burton after the incident.
Okay. So, first of all, I would like to say, and I want to get this out there right off the bat, you know, it's never right to push or hit a lady. Okay, so I'll start right there as we enter this debate. So with that being said, Nick Saban did not make an excuse. He said it would be handled internally, not in the midst of a public spectacle. That has been his practice for as long as I've known him to be a head coach, certainly for the last 16 years at the University of Alabama. If a player's in trouble or there's an incident over the weekend where they get into some kind of criminal or legal trouble, domestic situation, he calls them into his office. Okay? So we really just don't know what that punishment was, because he does not, out of privacy for his players, disclose the punishment. He elected not to suspend Jermaine Burton from the game, but as the head coach, that's his prerogative. As an Alabama fan, I can say that I don't necessarily agree with it, Burton maybe had one catch that I saw in the game Saturday night, had a minimal impact, and Saban said that the Mr. Burton was undergoing or had went some counseling, but he did clarify for the media that it was not anger management counseling. And the words that he used in his interviews, in both of them that I've seen, because he had a follow-up interview afterwards, was respect for others. And so that's how we should be as fans, as players, as coaches, and how we treat referees, the opposing team, the other team's fans, and certainly women. Respect for others. And that's what Nick Saban said in his press conference, and he said also that everyone in the organization could learn a lesson from that, and I believe that certainly applies to fans also.
Yeah, well, the primary thing he said that I find laughable is this clip that we're fixing to play of Coach Saban and his comments about Burton.
Look, I don't know how many of you have ever been in a situation like that, but I talked to him. He was scared. I was scared. Some of our other players were scared. I think you learn to respect other people because we have a responsibility to do that regardless of the circumstance that we're in. And, I talked to the guy. We have him in a counseling program. It's not an anger management program, as people announced today. Nobody ever said that. That's not the problem. That's not the issue. But it's about having the proper respect for other people. And, I didn't think it was necessary to suspend the guy. So if you knew the whole story, maybe you wouldn't either. But I'm not going to divulge that.
I ask you, Ken, what do you think the whole story could be? Nick Saban is justifying that it was okay for his player to hit this girl. Now, the only thing you have to dangle in front of these guys is games. Okay, and this guy's not going to miss a game. Tullahoma had a defensive back, missed 2 games because he allegedly punched some guy who was drunk and entered his apartment. No charges have been filed. We just held him out for 2 games. Scared? Really, Ken? Let's examine the long history of college football players being injured in post-game field celebrations. Okay. All right. There's not any. There's not any evidence of any players ever being hurt in post-game celebrations. Let's examine how many on-field rushes there were this Saturday in college football. There was quite a few. Happened in Clemson. Clemson, beating Syracuse. Nobody hurt, nobody scared, nobody punching girls. So, I feel there is no justification. I feel that Nick should have taken a public stance on this and suspended Jermaine Burton. That would have been a good public stance to take, but he didn't. And I'm disappointed in Nick and the program because I've always on this show talked about how much I respect the Alabama program, the process, and everything. But Nick just seemed, the only reason he's talking about this is because he's getting questioned about it. If you listen to Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the Alabama-Mississippi State game on Saturday night, they talked about this situation and basically justified it because the Alabama players were scared. Now, just help me understand how I don't know what Burton's size is. He's a big guy. They're all big guys. What were they scared of enough to punch a girl?
Okay. First of all, I will say that earlier this season, and our audience can go to YouTube and find it. I challenge them, YouTube or Twitter. If you find that, send it to us. Send us what game it was in. There was an on-field rushing at a game, rushing on the field after a game. I believe it was a Big Ten game this year. It might have been Big Ten or Big 12, where a player was walking off the field and a fan was in a dead run, hit him, and knocked him flat down to the ground. Josh Pate offered basically a reward on his show for whoever would come up with the name of that person. Okay, so when I talk about respect for others, what does respect for others mean? It means the golden rule. It means do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Okay? So I would submit, for the purposes of this debate, that Tennessee fans are stretching this a little and straining a gnat to swallow a camel. And I'll give a couple specific examples. Okay? How many of those same fans were at the Alabama game that were at the Ole Miss game last year and hurled mustard bottles and golf balls at cheerleaders, band members, referees, and opposing teams, and they even hit Lane Kiffin? Okay? Where's the outrage on that? How many Tennessee fans did not believe that Rashawn Golden should be suspended for a game when in Tuscaloosa, a game I was at a few years ago, Alabama and Tennessee, he intercepts a pass, runs it through the end zone, and flips birds, lifting his hands high in the air to the entire 100,000 Alabama fan base. Okay, look, it's classless. Tennessee has classless fans. Alabama has classless fans. They both have classless players. For the sake of humor, and this is not a funny subject, I would say that Jermaine Burton was out of his element. Who tears the goalpost down against the Georgia Bulldogs? Nobody. Jermaine Burton transferred from Georgia, where he played the last 3 years, to come to Alabama, where if you beat Alabama, they tear down goalposts every time. So I just say, look, Tennessee fans, it didn't matter if Tennessee if Nick Saban would have suspended Jermaine Burton for 2 games, that would not have been enough for the Tennessee nation. They hate Nick Saban. They call him Satan. They substitute a T for his middle initial B. Okay? And, Nick has never got in a press conference and said that hurts him or bothers him or whatever. So you want to talk about that press conference to where he said he was met with his player internally and he was going through counseling sessions to improve behavior and not castigate him publicly. I think that's respecting his player some. Now, do I think a public apology to that young lady? Perhaps it's already taken place. We don't know. What was said? Nick Saban did say something in there I was trying to figure out, which nobody knows. He says, you don't know the whole story. We don't know if this young lady said a racial epithet towards him. We just don't know.
I knew you'd go there.
No, we
we
don't know.
I know.
We weren't there, and we don't know.
And
so
it does not matter what she did. It does not matter what she said. It does not matter if she spit in his face. It does not matter. You can't hit a woman. It's against the law.
Okay,
it's
I
wrong.
agree.
It's morally wrong.
I agree. And I'm glad that you brought that point up, because I want to go to 1996, where 98% of the Tennessee fans, or 96% of them at least, will defend the golden child, Peyton Manning. The Tennessee Vol fans remember Jamie Ann Nainwright, the Tennessee trainer who was teabagged by Peyton Manning. He missed 0 games. What kind of behavior was that was allowed at the University of Tennessee, and no punishment given him? He never sat out a game.
26 years ago.
That's right. True.
If that's your defense in this debate,
that was the very last
I'll
thing
take
I
that.
had. That's
I'll
the only
take
last thing I had.
All right. We'll consider.
You want to cut to that video you have?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, you got one of Saban. Here we go. information are you guys trying to get, and has there been any update on that?
Yeah, well, we handle, discipline issues, internally, and that's the way we'll handle this. But, as I said today, when I was asked about the whole, the league has tried to control people, rushing the field, and, it's a difficult circumstance for the league. It's a difficult circumstances for the people who are on the field. But we got to go through those difficult circumstances and still respect other people, and I think that's on us to do that, and that's certainly a lesson, for all of us to learn relative to this.
Start that over again. Say it again.
We need to learn to respect other people. That's what Nick said.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. And it's my opinion that the actions taken by Coach Saban, a counseling session, which all players in all sports go through them all the time, that's just not enough for what Jermaine Burton did.
Well,
Okay? A suspension of a game is enough.
Your Honor, I asked for a 30-second rebuttal.
There's no Your Honor.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Judge.
Okay. Come on, Judge Wampner, help me out here. Look.
Okay.
Our viewers determine who wins.
Yeah,
the debate.
and there's no winner losing this. It's everybody losing this situation. But essentially, what I say is we don't know what the punishment was for him. We don't. It could have been far worse than playing a football game.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
It
Like
could be,
what for Jermaine Burton would be worse than not playing in a football
How about
game? You only get 12.
stairs at Bryant Denny every day for about
You
2
only
hours?
get 12.
I mean, there could be lots of things put in. I don't know what his punishments are, but I mean, I'm sure that through all his years of coaching, his dad was a coach. He's been a coach. He played football, all his life, from Pee Wee up. And I'd say he's got a grasp on the situation. How do we know that a letter from Nick Saban's not been sent to this young lady? How do we know that? We don't. How do we know that Jermaine Burton's not sent a letter to this young lady? We don't. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of unknowns here.
That's
We just
right.
don't know.
Bill actually had a good comment. What was against the law was her being on the field in the first place.
What was against the law was her being on the field in the first
Woo,
place.
this debate
Actually,
continues.
That's not against the law. That's against SEC rules. Tennessee gladly broke those rules, as other schools have. It's a $100,000 fine. Tennessee President Randy Boyd said he would gladly pay that fine every year. It was fine with him. The debate is closed. You make the call, viewers. Should Jermaine Burton have played Saturday? Was that enough punishment? Not enough punishment? It's your decision. We debated. All right, we move on to the podium. Let's go to the podium. All right, each week we have our podium segment where we bring some of our top achievers up, bring them to the podium. Ken's all prepared. I'll get prepared with my gold medal. We're handing out medals. We start with the bronze medal. Ken, your bronze medal winner for this week.
Look, we talk a lot about fan behavior. I've been involved in some instances at games myself.
Are we still debating?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, we're not. But this is a good example of how fans should act.
How fans
Celebrate how fans should
It
act.
was the fans' fault
Yes.
that they got slapped.
Celebrate your team. Okay, celebrate your team. So here on Gold Ball Sports, I'm going to award my bronze medal tonight to Tullahoma native and now Old Rose Sports phenom, Tullahoma native John York. Come to the podium to get your bronze medal. You were the one that became a Twitter sensation. You were the one that shaved your hairy chest with the power T and hoisted a girl up on your shoulder smoking a cigar. Tullahoma native John York, you are on the map, and you are the epiphany of what college football is all about.
Hey, all right, I like that.
A fine bronze medal right there. That was outstanding. Mine's not quite as funny. But Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks held off Texas A&M Saturday to move to 5-2 on the season. And in the post-game interview, Shane Beamer, was he in his second year?
Yes.
Second year as head coach of the usually dreadful South Carolina Gamecocks, said that Bryce Stadium there in Columbia, South Carolina was the greatest college football atmosphere in the country. Now, Shane, I'm going to give you a bronze medal just for saying that, because it's just not true, Shane. How many places can you just count offhand that would absolutely, I don't care if they're 12-0, that would absolutely demolish Bryce Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, as a college football atmosphere?
And I heard that, I take that with a grain of salt, too, just like you did, Scott, when I heard that. You watched the environment at Tennessee, and then, look, South Carolina, when you have these 11 o'clock games, and you have Cole Kubelik and SEC Nation 3, the third tier announcers calling that game, look, and they do a fine job. They do a great job. But Cole Kubelik, he said the same thing. He said, this is the most unbelievable atmosphere we've been at all year. Maybe so, Cole, but go to some of the bigger SEC games.
That's because you've been to Auburn, Missouri,
right.
Vanderbilt.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's my bronze medalist, Shane Beamer. Man, way to pump it up. Silver medal time. We move up the podium.
All right, here on Gold Ball Sports in episode 5, I have my first multiple winner. Alante Taylor, come back up to the podium. So all Alante Taylor did, former Tullahoma Little Leaguer and Coffee County high school football player in Tennessee Vol, who autographed this helmet right here. So Alante's big Vol helmet's here. He got his first NFL start on Thursday Night Football last Thursday night against the Arizona Cardinals on the road, and boy, did he play well. So all Alante did is he had 5 targets. Not 5 targetings, 5 targets, meaning the other team threw the ball his way 5 times. He only allowed 1 reception for 17 yards while covering future Hall of Famer DeAndre Hopkins and a great tight end with the Cardinals named Zach Ertz. So Alante Taylor, congratulations. Step up to the podium here at Gold Ball Sports and get your silver medal.
I was very impressed when Alante was able to draw a pass interference penalty against DeAndre Hopkins. That's a rookie going against, as you said, a Hall of Famer. That was really an impressive play. My silver medalist is also a repeat winner. Jalen Hyatt, step on up here and get your silver medal. All Jalen did on Saturday, overlooked by the phenomenal 5-touchdown, 207 yards he had against Alabama. He comes back last week against UT Martin, 7 catches for 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenny, if he played for Michigan or Ohio State or USC, he would be a Heisman candidate all of a sudden. But and Cedric Tillman's coming back, so don't know what Jalen Hyatt will do in the future. But in the last 2 games, about 450 yards, 7 touchdowns. Man, that dude, if the ball comes close to number 11 in orange and white, he don't miss it.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Jalen Hyatt's made a lot of money, future money, here in the last 2 weeks. That guy's, vaulted himself in the possible number 1 or first-round draft pick in the NFL. He's making plays, and, who knows? If he has the type of game against Georgia in 2 weeks, or Georgia and Kentucky as he had against Alabama, maybe he does have his name mentioned along with Hendon Hooker for the Heisman.
Yeah, and it probably won't be the first time I say this during tonight's program, but Ken's going to try to deflect to Georgia as much as he can because secretly he wants Tennessee to overlook Kentucky and get beat Saturday. I won't mention the state below us there to the southeast of the United States because we play the state up north. We play the Yankees this week, Saturday night in Neyland. Focused, Kentucky.
Focused, yeah.
Good silver medalist. Silver medalist. Who you got for gold?
For the gold, I've got the Philadelphia Phillies going back to the World Series, and Bryce Harper hitting the game-winning home run, a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th, bringing the Phillies back as they win their series against the San Diego Padres. And
I think we've got.
And we've got a video here. We want to
2
show
balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's going,
yes!
and it is gone.
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Are you kidding me? Oh,
His 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one.
wow.
4-3 Phillies in the bottom of the
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Bryce Harper couldn't get the Washington Nationals over the hump. They were always good in the regular season. Bryce Harper known for his postseason inability to produce, let's say. But he certainly came through there.
Yeah, and those guys on the broadcast there said that he's worth every penny of what they signed him for. 13 years, $330 million. Young kids, watch how Bryce Harper swings the bat. Be aggressive. That's how you need to swing a baseball bat. That kid was a phenom at a very young age. Just God-given talent, just a super player. And the Phillies back to the World Series for their first since 2009 against the Astros.
Might as well pull for the National League East. Braves can't have it. Phillies go ahead and take it. Certainly can't cheer for the Houston Astros,
No,
the all-time cheaters of baseball.
not the Astros.
However, they have been to 4 of the last 6 World Series and are actually a dynasty in this decade.
Well, I'm a National League guy. I got my old 1970s throwback Johnny Bench, Big Red Machine, but this is about the closest the Reds are going to get to the World Series in a while. So
You
I
wearing
figured
it
I
and
busted
talking
out
about
tonight. Yeah.
I like it. All right, my gold medal winner, pretty basic this week. Want to give out the gold medal to the Tennessee Titans and King Henry. The Titans took care of their nemesis, the Indianapolis Colts, yesterday. It wasn't easy, but they got the win. The formula is set in stone. This is the only way the Titans win. Derrick Henry, 30 carries, 128 yards. He can't keep that up all season. King Henry and the Titans get the gold medal this week. John Robinson, the general manager, picked up not 1 but 2 defensive backs off of practice rosters early in the season. Both of those guys had interceptions yesterday. One of them returned for a touchdown. John Robinson may be the best general manager in all of the NFL. But the gold medal goes to them. But Ken, they can't sustain this. Derrick Henry can't run the ball 30 times a game. They can't sustain this. They traded A.J. Brown, and they just don't seem to have that big play capability anymore.
Yeah, no appreciable substitute at wide receiver. So, it's going to be tough, but they have seized control of their own division there now with 2 wins over the Indianapolis Colts. 2 wins in 4 weeks.
4 in a row for the Tennessee Titans. Congratulations. You are my gold medal winner for tonight. All right, let's find a new segment. Let's do our participation trophy. All right, Ken. Now, I'm going to say this again, and we're going to do this whole thing again.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be like you want it. So I think it's time to hand out our participation trophy. and you say,
I say, okay, I got it. Gold Ball Sports, where participation trophies simply don't cut it. Hold on, let me get my flag out here. This is not a Tennessee flag this week. This is a Clemson Tiger flag.
this is what's known as in-game coaching.
Yeah, this is Clemson Tiger
Making adjustments.
for their calls against Syracuse right here. There you go. All right.
All right, if we got a video clip with this participation trophy,
We do.
We do.
Yeah, let's go to it. Back to you.
all right, Ken, your participation trophy.
All right, my participation trophy, and I just got to make sure this guy's mugshot gets on TV too. Did you show the two pictures?
Oh, they're up right now.
All right, so the guy on the right and the guy on the left are one and the same. One has a clown hair, kind of like the colors of Gold Ball Sports logo. We got some pretty vibrant colors in here. This is one Purdue quarterback, undrafted free agent, Gary Danielson. Gary, I'm watching the game, the CBS 230 game, trying to watch Jason Autry and his crew, and lo and behold, Gary Danielson makes the call of all calls as the LSU quarterback is hit on the sidelines, and Gary calls it a roughing the pisser penalty.
You want to show it?
I want to show it. Cue it up.
Williams made a couple guys miss.
Yeah, roughing the passer. They're going to.
Pisser passer. The pisser passer.
I mean, I saw that live, and I could not contain myself. I said he did not just say that. You know, Gary Danielson calls a roughing the pisser penalty. Now, I've watched football for 50 years. I've heard some gaffes. You've been on for 30 years calling the Tullahoma Wildcats. I've been on for 6 years. I cannot remember a gaffe in a football game by any announcer bigger than that one, Scott.
What do you
That
think?
was funny.
What do you think was on Big Gary's mind while he was talking there? You think that bathroom down the hall was
might have been,
hollering at
yeah.
him? He had to go bad.
Yeah.
Woo, his back teeth were floating.
Yeah, so I got a kick out of that. So,
That's fun.
Gary Danielson, you are episode 5's participation trophy award winner here at Gold Ball Sports. Here's your trophy. Come get it and call that next roughing the pisser penalty on your next 2:30 telecast on CBS. That was a classic, Gary.
And you can share it with the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, who have now lost 4 games in a row, including a 23-21 loss to the Washington, what are they? The Commanders. Yesterday. Backup quarterback Taylor Heineke from Old Dominion, you know, that great developer of quarterback school, Old Dominion, outdueled Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have no wide receivers. Their leading receiver was running back Aaron Jones. 86% of the money bet was bet on the Packers covering by 4 points over the Commanders. So, Aaron, Green Bay Packers, Gary Danielson gets this, but you get to touch it. All
There
right?
you go.
You get to touch it.
There you go.
That's our participation trophy for the night. All right, let's jump into another segment. You ready?
Yep.
They did what?
I'm genuinely fearful that on our team, if me and the other coaches don't get them right, that about a generation from now, their kids and their grandkids won't have hands, because, from a lack of use, those hands just disappear. I mean, and maybe they'll be like this, like those dinosaur hands like this are, you see. And you got like a Tyrannosaurus Rex who's clearly good at eating things, big old jaws and all that stuff, fairly athletic, can run. Well, his hands are like this. And I think we took a very, very, very big step as a team, which we have to correct this. We have to correct this because, I think that in the end that it's going to be best for all these guys that they have good hand development and that they don't evolve to where they don't have hands. Okay, but we definitely didn't use ours, and so there certainly wasn't any genetic reinforcement on our part that we should maintain our hands. I mean, and I don't want all of a sudden, guys driving across this country, and then they get to Starkville, Mississippi, and all of a sudden there's these athletic-looking, friendly guys, because we have great guys, that don't have any hands. And I hope that that's not the case. But that's where we're headed right now, and we're going to try to get that fixed in this off week.
Oh, mercy me. That's hilarious.
That is one of the best ever. Now, the Pirate is known for these great quotes and press conferences and things like that. But this whole analogy of dinosaurs without hands, because I guess his receivers didn't catch very well on Saturday and weren't willing to go over the middle, and it's what they call short arming it, right? They don't want any part of battle in those Alabama defensive backs back there.
Oh, yeah. And look, I want to ask you, what is a Torontosaurus Rex?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, really. But, have no hands, can't put fingers. Hey, I got one for you right here, Pirate. 6. When you have those kind of press conferences, everybody wants to laugh and cut up because he deflects the real issues. He went for 6 fourth downs in that football game Saturday night against Alabama, and I thought he took his team out of the game in the first half. He went for 1 on his own 29-yard line down 7-0, and, man, you can't put your defense in that kind of situation. Alabama was good on fourth downs. I love the Pirates. I think Mississippi State needs to change their nickname from the Bulldogs to the Pirates and get some kind of pirate ship going out on the field, before the game, like that Boomer Sooner wagon. And I like the guy, but I don't know what happened to him out on the left coast, man. But he's got a little wacky side to him.
2 to 3 years is how much time this guy's got left at Mississippi State. Because of that, I wouldn't change the nickname.
And perhaps almost a coach, Scott, at the University of Tennessee.
Well, he was in the discussion. He was in the discussion. I wouldn't say almost a coach, but he was in the discussion. He also put out a nice tweet that I thought gave Alabama a whole lot of credit.
You want me to say it?
Say it.
Oh, yeah, he did.
All right, we've got some guys who are afraid of the jersey that says Alabama on it. We spend a lot of time frightened with their jerseys. You want to scare some of the guys on our team? Put an Alabama jersey on and it'll scare the hell out of them.
Yeah. He's a trip.
Put an Alabama jersey on and you'll scare the hell out of our team.
He's a trip.
Well, Mississippi State used to give Alabama some sort of air raid thing. A lot different. It didn't work at Washington State. It didn't work at Texas Tech. It's not going to work at Mississippi State. Now, it works some. Yeah. And you get 7 and 4 years out of this guy. But whenever you get to the big game, he's not winning it.
Yeah.
He's just not winning it. I'm with you. He took his team out of the game. He looked like Bill Price, old coach at Coffee County. Used to go for it on 4th and 18 at his own 20-yard line and stuff like that early in the game. Just take his team completely out of the game. I thought Leach did that.
Agreed.
So, Mr. Leach, you did what?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
All right, Ken, let's talk some SEC football. It's 6:40 on this beautiful Monday night. We are in the DKI Apex Restoration Studios on Atlantic Street in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Our producer, Dave Myers, is going to put up my phone number if you'd like to be an advertiser on this program. We're going to pay. So there's that. All right, Ken, which do you want to do first? It is entirely up to you. We have SEC report card grades, and we have talk about the unbeaten and their
Let's go SEC.
BCS.
SEC, and then we'll pull the.
All right.
Yeah, we'll go to the big picture after that.
SEC report card grades, mid-season grades. We know most teams played 7, some 8 games, so it's a little past the mid-season point, but we think it's a good spot to give out grades. So get us started.
All right, I'm going to get us started with the lone F I'm giving out as the nutty football professor here tonight. I have one F, Jimbo F. Fisher. Okay, Jimbo Fisher and his Texas A&M Aggies, 3-4, under 500. They were down 17-0 with 9:34 to go in the first quarter at Williams-Brice Stadium against South Carolina. They are now in the conference. Their conference record is 1-3. They've only won one game. Not only that, they've lost to Appalachian State. Man. They were supposed to be second in the SEC West this year. They had the number 1 recruiting class in history last year. Look, Jimbo gets an F. Out of all the 14 teams, that's my one F. Scott, what do you think about that grade?
Sure.
Is he worthy of that one?
Absolutely. Earned every mark on the F.
Yeah, that's the worst grade. So I'm going to go from worst to the best. Okay, and look, hey, we call it the way we see it here on Gold Ball Sports. Okay, we're seekers of truth and justice. I have 1A, and it's not just an A, it's an A+. Now, when I was in school and I got an A+ on a paper, very, very rarely that A+ is a little different than an A. That's the ultimate perfection. And that's going to go to none other than the Tennessee Volunteers, who were projected third in the SEC East. I had them second behind Georgia. Okay? Much better than Kentucky. We'll talk about that later. But look what they've done. All they've done after 7 games is score, listen to this, is score 351 points in 7 games. Okay, so how rarefied is that point total? Let me give you a clue. In 2018, Alabama scored 375. That's the most in SEC history. Tennessee only 2 touchdowns behind that. 1996, Riddell Anthony and the Fun and Gun Florida Gators under Steve Spurrier, 366 points. And the 2019 LSU Tigers under Joe Burrow that won a national championship, 351 points, tied with Tennessee for third. What do all those teams have in common? They played for the national championship. Scott, 2 of them won it. Alabama lost it in 18. With that many points, Tennessee sitting there at 351. I give them an A+, the highest mark in the SEC of any of the 14 teams.
Hear, hear. Volunteers, front of the class. Listen well, take notes well, test well. A+, I like it.
All right, let's go down the list.
Do it.
The Georgia Bulldogs. I've given the Georgia Bulldogs a B. They get a plus for the 49-3 rout over the Oregon Ducks, which now looks like a good win. They get a minus. I just can't get it out of my head of what happened in Missouri when they did not score a touchdown until 9 minutes left in that football game and won it 26-21 in a lethargic performance. I'm just not quite sold yet on the Georgia Bulldogs, as are the pollsters. I do not think they're the number 1 team in the country. Thus, the Georgia Bulldogs get a B for Bulldogs, Scott.
Okay.
All right. Thirdly, Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama, 2 narrow wins against the 2 Texas schools. Texas and Texas A&M. They win on the last play of the game. They go to Tennessee and they lose for the first time in 16 years. Running game looked bad Saturday night, but the defense looked good, the secondary looked good, and they've got an all-world quarterback named Bryce Young. So for that B, Alabama gets a B-. So I put a minus behind that. Alabama with a B-. That's my grade for them. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, B+. You start out the season 7-0. Josh Pate said they would not even win 6 or 7 games the entire season. He went under on their win total. They got beat. They got boat raced by LSU on Saturday, but not to take away. They're still in the SEC West race. Are the Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin, you and the Ole Miss Rebels get a B+. Okay? Second highest grade that I have given in the conference behind Tennessee. Ole Miss B+. South Carolina, Scott, you mentioned it earlier. Beamer ball. Okay? Solid B for Beamer ball. South Carolina's won 4 straight, folks. Look at them. They're soaring. They're 5-2 overall, 2-2. Never would have saw. Never projected them to beat Texas A&M. Texas A&M coming off a bye week. They did it. Beamer ball with a B. LSU Tigers. The Bengal Tigers get the same grade as Alabama, B-. They lost their opener against Florida State. Lost their best player on their whole team, Mason Smith, the defensive tackle, the first series of that game. But they laid an egg against Tennessee. They looked lethargic. Lethargic State University in Baton Rouge against Tennessee and got curb stomped 40-13. So they're still in the mix. Big game in 2 weeks. Alabama and LSU off this week. Big game in Baton Rouge at 6 p.m. In 2 weeks, November the 5th. So LSU gets a B-. They're 6-2 overall, and they only have 1 loss in the conference. They're 4-1. Mississippi State Pirates, C+. 5-3 overall, 2-2. I got Mississippi State with a C+. Missouri and Kentucky clustered in, both of them C+. I can't figure out those 2 teams, Scott. To me, those are 2 upcoming opponents for Tennessee. Their record sitting now, Missouri, got to give them a little plus for the way they played for Georgia. They're 5-3 overall, but 2-3 in the conference. They're out of the East race, as is Kentucky. Maybe not quite out. They're 5-2 overall, but 2-2. They had a bad loss against South Carolina at home 2 weeks ago that I can't get out of my head, Scott. The C+.
That's the only one I'm going to stop you on and say I'm giving Kentucky a D right now.
Okay.
It's not based on their record. It's based on where they were, preseason expectations, and where they are now.
I got you.
We'll see this weekend, won't we?
Yeah, we'll see if they're a D or C this weekend. Arkansas Razorbacks, C. Boy, they're stumbling. Toughest schedule in the country, 4-3 overall, 1-3 in the conference. Vanderbilt, giving them a C-, Scott. I'm giving them a C- because, hey, they're Vanderbilt, but look, they had a great game against Hawaii. They looked really good in that first game of the season. They're winless in the conference.
Played tough against Missouri on Saturday. Came right down to the end.
Yeah.
Of course, Vanderbilt, turned their opportunity over as Vanderbilt would.
And my other 2 teams just ahead of A&M. I did give Texas A&M the F. I've got the Florida Gators and the Auburn Tigers both with a D. I cannot figure out, Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for the Florida Gators. I just can't figure the guy out. I don't know how good. Is he the Tennessee Anthony Richardson, or is he the one that completed 8 passes, a couple weeks back? They're 4-3 overall, 1-3 in the conference, Florida. You've lost to your two of your biggest rivals, LSU at home, Tennessee on the road. You get a D, 1-3 overall, and then Auburn 1-4. We talked about it. Brian Harsin, dead man walking. That D stands for dead man walking for Brian Harsin because he's going to not retain his job at the end of this season. So that's my mid-season report card,
Really?
Scott, for the SEC.
Going to be fired, is that what you're telling us?
He'll be gone.
I would ask our producer, Dave Myers, to close off the industrial warehouse here at DKI Apex Restoration Studios. Yeah, scores from Saturday, just in case you've been in a cave. Tennessee beat UT Martin 65-24. The Volunteers had 700 yards of total offense. They did do one thing I didn't like. Tennessee led 45-3 with a couple of minutes left to go in the first half. Quarterback tossed it to Princeton Fant, big tight end. He threw a long touchdown pass, I think, to Jalen Hyatt. I didn't like that play. There was no – I can see the reason for showing it. You show Kentucky and Georgia, look, we liable to do anything. But don't do it to UT Martin when you're leading 45-3. You keep throwing the ball, keep playing your offense with your second string, then your third string, then your fourth string. The balls did all that right. But I didn't like that play.
I agree. I thought it was a great play. It
Great
made good
play.
for the highlight reels, but the first thing I thought, why in the world didn't you hold that for Georgia or the SEC championship game, man? That play worked to perfection. It was a thing of beauty. But I said, why against UT Martin?
Alabama beat Mississippi State 30-6. LSU beat Ole Miss 45-20. South Carolina beat A&M 30-24. And the game of the day, Missouri beat Vanderbilt 17-14. Ken, did you know that the NBA season has started?
The NBA season has started. Yes.
Yeah, they're playing professional basketball in the United States. There's no restrictions. There's no anything. How much do we appreciate? Because time goes so fast. How much do we appreciate now compared to where we were a couple of years ago? You realize, Jermaine Burton, that if that game had been played a couple of years ago, there wouldn't have been anybody there, right?
True.
Wouldn't have been anybody there. NBA games were played in some bubble somewhere in Orlando or something. Just so great to have crowds back. They're everything.
That's right.
In sports. But I do have favorite teams in the NBA. I am an NBA fan. And my two favorite teams are combined 0-6.
Oh, mercy.
The Lakers and the Grizzlies have both started out struggling just a little bit. The Lakers in particular average 103.3 points a game. That is the bottom last in the NBA. And you say, well, maybe they don't have any stars. Well, they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and they're the lowest scoring NBA team in the league. That's pathetic.
That's unreal.
If we didn't have better participation trophies, Lakers, you would have got it this week. I got a feeling you're going to be eligible multiple times over the next 6, 7, 8 months.
Right,
because talking about a selfish roster, man. They can't figure.
Well,
it
far
out.
cry from the Showtime Lakers.
Isn't it,
Your
though?
favorite team.
It's a far
I
cry from the-
I'm a Celtics fan. I enjoy watching the Showtime Lakers. I mean, that was our nemesis, man.
It's a far cry
Them dudes
from
were
the
bad
Kobe
dudes.
Pau Gasol
that's right.
Lakers, which won 2 NBA championships.
That's right.
A far cry. All right. We're going to close out with some more college football here. And it's not too early to start looking at
crystal
this
ball.
college football playoff scenario.
The gold ball, crystal playoff.
Ooh.
Yes.
So let's just, start out with who got eliminated this weekend.
Okay,
Who do you think
contenders
got
and
eliminated?
pretenders.
There
Two
you go.
teams eliminated this weekend. They were the UCLA Bruins and the Ole Miss Rebels. So there were 8 teams that entered the weekend unbeaten. Those 2 fell, and then there were 6. And so we're going to look at these 6 matchups in our pick segment.
Well, time out.
Time out.
I have a show correction.
Show correction.
I hate to do this to you,
Okay.
but we want to give information that's correct.
Okay.
There were 9
my
undefeated
bad.
teams heading
My
into the
bad.
weekend.
Who did I miss?
Syracuse
Oh, that's right.
took the
Man.
loss at Clemson. So 3
I watched
teams
that game,
bit the bullet. Are those 3 teams eliminated?
Yes. They're gone. Bye-bye. So let's look at these 6 teams right here. Because in the Atlantic Cupcake Conference, I'm going to agree with Mr. Bill. I wish I had his little clay statue here tonight. Mr. Bill told you that Clemson was doing a cakewalk walking to the playoffs because they're in the Atlantic Cupcake Conference.
All
There was some
Cupcake
bad officiating in that game.
All-Cupcake Conference.
I'm going to throw the flag on the Clemson Tigers. The officiating they had in that game helped them out. They had 4 turnovers in that game. Syracuse had them on the ropes and ended up losing that football game. But Clemson is going to win the ACC, and they're going to go unbeaten. So that's going to be one of your teams in the playoffs. And they are one of the unbeaten teams. But let's start at the top.
No chance Clemson loses.
No. They got Notre Dame this week, but I don't think Notre Dame is what they have been with Brian Kelly. So I don't see a path there. So let's look at the 6 unbeatens and what they face this week and talk about the games. And then we'll talk about this picture because you see this Alabama and Tennessee helmet, folks. We've been at it the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that's why these helmets keep showing up. We had a down and dirty debate tonight. This ain't over. This could happen December the 3rd. If it doesn't happen December 3rd, it could happen in the college football playoffs. Or it could happen in both. Or it could happen in the national championship.
There could be
3
games
Could
between Tennessee and Alabama this year. A lot of things would have to work out. but it could happen.
Can you imagine?
Just the fact that it could happen is enough for me.
Armageddon. Can you imagine Tennessee and Alabama in the national championship? Let's see how that's going to work.
Build that wall.
Build
that wall.
Build the wall between the two states, man. It won't be.
There's
It will
not
be.
enough women in Tennessee to be punched for that to happen.
That's right. There's
All
not
right,
enough women in Tennessee to be punched for them to play 3 games. I love it.
You guys
Dave
are
Myers.
cracker jacks. That's what y'all are. So let's look at the 6 unbeatens. We'll start off with the one in the SEC, the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs 7-0 against the Florida Gators, the world's greatest cocktail party. We talked about the Florida Gators and them getting a D in my midseason report card. Scott, they're 1-3. They're 4-3 overall. Is there any path or any chance of the Florida Gators knocking the Georgia Bulldogs off? And as you said, Georgia and Tennessee both big games this weekend before their showdown in 2 weeks. Are they looking ahead? What do you think?
Georgia's not looking ahead. They do this game every year in the Gator Bowl, I guess. Still doing the Gator
Yes.
Bowl. Boy, you know, I'd really like to say that I really think Florida has a chance here. I just don't. I just
agree.
don't. I wish they
Yeah.
did, but they don't.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Ohio State.
24-point spread, by the
Woo!
way. 24
I was figuring
points.
14, 24 points. That's a big number. Big number. Number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Scott, they have their biggest test of the season. They go to Happy Valley, and the Penn State Nittany Lions hope to be happy Saturday night.
The Suck Eyes.
Oh no, man, you're in rare form tonight.
You know, I think Penn State's
Jazz
got
nasty.
a real shot here. I think they took a loss on Saturday to Michigan, so they're probably pretty beat up. But it is in Happy Valley, so there's a chance.
They'll be the
Florida,
white.
no chance. Penn State, a chance.
Yeah, they'll be the big whiteout going on there, and of course Ohio State catches Michigan at home. So this is their biggest test of the season thus far. I think Ohio State's still the class of the Big Ten, and they too will go undefeated. Here's the big game in Knoxville. Tennessee hosts the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky comes in number 19, so it's a top 25 matchup. Scott, the Tennessee Vols host the Kentucky Wildcats and Mark Stoops.
Kentucky coming off an off week, you just can't. It's tough to judge what an off week does to a team. Okay, Tennessee against Alabama coming off a bye week, they obviously look really fresh. Some teams come off a bye week, they look rusty. They haven't had good weeks of practice. Kentucky coming off a bye week, coming to Knoxville. It's a blackout on Saturday night. I think it's that 6 o'clock game on Saturday night, ESPN. It's a blackout in Neyland Stadium, encouraging everybody to wear black, be all black.
One point I will make on that game that you really highlighted about 3 weeks ago on episode 2 was the Ole Miss Kentucky game, and you appreciated really how Kentucky let the air out of a ball going against an up-tempo offense. Tennessee fans, go back and watch that game because that's what Kentucky's going to try to do to you. They're going to try it, but Tennessee, no letdown against UT Martin. I think they're going to roll it up on Kentucky.
There is polar opposite offensive strategies. Tennessee is the fastest offense in the country. Kentucky is the slowest offense in the country. That 14-point spread scares me just a little bit. But, you know, Tennessee has been knocking on the door of critical opponents the whole season, and now the Slim Reaper stands at the door of the Kentucky
you
Wildcats.
didn't do it. Dave, tell me you didn't do it.
The Slim
Oh,
Reaper.
he's pulled the infamous Slim Reaper out
At
again.
the
Now he's
door.
standing at the Kentucky Wildcat door. Well, we saw
Mark
what happened
Stoops.
when he knocked on Alabama's door.
Better figure out some trick plays, Stoops, because you're going to need some points come Saturday.
I agree.
I'm taking Tennessee and giving those 14.
I agree with you. So we both got Georgia, Ohio State, and Tennessee remaining unbeaten. That's 3 of the 6. Let's quickly look at the last 3. Michigan versus Michigan State. Michigan 7-0. Scott, it doesn't matter where these two teams play. The Spartans are a basketball school right now. They're certainly not a football school. They're having a hard
I'm
time
not
this year.
sure there's going to be any game Saturday where you can throw the records out than this Michigan State game. Michigan State's been terrible. They've got no chance. This is like a 25-point spread. Look for Michigan State to keep this game close, make Jim Harbaugh nervous. I'm not going to pick them for the upset. I'm going to take them with the points and say Michigan kind of struggles here. They've just been so good.
I love it. Scott the Swami. Breaking it down. Possible upset alert on the Michigan Wolverines. And, of course, the aforementioned Clemson Tigers, they're 8-0. They travel to Notre Dame. Boy, look, when we look at this picture of the SEC teams, and to get 2 SEC teams in, folks, you got to root against Clemson and you got to root against TCU. That's the 2 teams. If you want 2 SEC teams in the college football playoffs, root for the ACC to get knocked out and the Big 12. Those 2 teams that are unbeaten, TCU and the Clemson Tigers. Become a Notre Dame fan. Root for the Leprechauns, as Scott regularly does when they play Alabama and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So, any path for Notre Dame to beat upset Clemson?
Nope. No.
I'm with you.
You know, Clemson hadn't shown me great. They were willing to put in a freshman quarterback last week who led them to that victory over Syracuse. So, I think Clemson may have perhaps some quarterback issues now. So that could help Notre Dame, but Clemson just seems to have too much talent. TCU, West Virginia, I don't give West Virginia much of a chance. TCU's offense, a lot like Tennessee, they just roll. But I'm with you. You know, Michigan, Ohio State have got to play. Georgia and Tennessee got to play. This team's got to play. That team's got to play. We still got a long way to go, but that's a great breakdown.
Break down the key dates there, Scott, for
Key dates,
our college football playoff fans.
The first college football ranking is November 1st. That's a week from tomorrow. The semifinals in the college football playoff will be played in the Fiesta and the Peach Bowl. It'd be interesting to see Alabama and Tennessee in Atlanta, wouldn't it? For a second consecutive game. And
back to back.
And then December 4th, the selection committee puts out the college football playoff bowl matchups. That's going to do it for us tonight in this edition of Gold Ball Sports. This has been episode 5. For Dave Myers and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Chastain. Be good to each other.